Good evening, my courageous friends. Tonight, we will explore 3 scary stories that might make you reconsider if it's safe to walk alone at night. These tales follow individuals who got lost in the dark, stuck between what is real and something much more frightening. If you're prepared to hear these chilling experiences, then get comfortable and grip something tight, because the night is darker than you realize. On a chilly autumn evening, Sarah chose to hike through the thick forest close to her village. She knew the path well, but the air felt unusual that night. She brushed it off as the sun sank beneath the horizon, casting long shadows across the ground. Although Sarah was an experienced hiker and always ready for anything, the forest seemed to awaken in ways she had never experienced as darkness fell. At first, there was just an unsettling silence, the kind that sends shivers down your spine, as if the trees were holding their breath. Then, she began to hear faint whispers carried by the wind. She halted, straining to listen. Her heart raced. No one else was meant to be out there. The whispers grew more distinct, yet she couldn't understand what they were saying. It was a language she didn't know. Fear washed over her, and Sarah decided to head back. But no matter how far she walked, the forest appeared to stretch on forever. The path she had taken so many times was now missing. She realized she was lost, and as the chill seeped into her bones, the whispers continued, now joined by soft footsteps behind her. As Sarah hurried to find her way out, the trees around her seemed to move closer, narrowing her escape route. She tripped over something soft. Looking down, she saw a pile of leaves, but they were not leaves at all. They were bones. Human bones. She attempted to scream, but no sound emerged. Then, a voice whispered right into her ear from behind her. "You shouldn't have come here." Jason had just wrapped up his late shift at work. It was past midnight, and the train station was nearly empty. He had missed the last train home, but waiting alone was something he was accustomed to. The soft hum of the overhead lights and the distant sound of the train tracks helped him feel calm. The only other person in the station was an old man slouched on a bench, his back bent, eyes half closed, murmuring something quietly. Jason looked at the time. The next train wouldn't arrive for another hour. He sighed and approached the vending machine, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the quiet station. He reached for his wallet, but when he turned back to the bench, the old man had vanished. A sudden chill ran through him, and he checked the clock. It was still an hour until the train, yet Jason sensed that something was off. The station felt too silent, and it seemed like the walls were closing in on him. He walked towards the platform, unsure why he felt so anxious. Just as the train's headlights broke through the darkness in the distance, Jason heard a strange noise coming from the train. It wasn't the typical screech of metal, it sounded more like a long, drawn-out cry for help, almost human. His curiosity got the best of him, and as the train came to a stop, he moved closer to the doors. The door opened, revealing the old man sitting inside, staring at him with wide eyes. His skin looked pale, and his face was twisted in a frightening expression of fear. "You shouldn't take this train," the old man murmured, his voice low. But Jason had already climbed aboard. As the train rushed into the darkness, the lights blinked on and off. The old man's warnings drifted away, and Jason felt a tightness in his chest. He realized he wasn't by himself on this train. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed shapes, shadows of people who had passed away long ago, standing in the aisles and staring at him. This train was not just any ride, it was a journey with no return. On the quiet edges of town, a long highway ran through dense forests. This road often led travelers astray, and while the locals talked about it softly, no one dared to drive on it at night. One evening, Chris, a young man seeking excitement, chose to disregard the warnings and drove down the highway. His car smoothly glided along the deserted road, the headlights piercing the darkness. It didn't take long for him to notice how strangely silent the night was. There were no animal sounds, no leaves rustling, just the noise of his tires on the pavement. As he took a turn, he spotted a figure by the roadside. It was a woman in white, her hair blowing in the wind. She appeared lost, as if she were waiting for someone. Chris slowed down and rolled down his window. "Hey, are you all right?" he shouted. The woman didn't reply, but her eyes, wide and hollow, fixed on him with an unsettling stare. Feeling a mix of concern and hesitation, Chris parked the car. But as soon as he stopped, she moved closer to the window, her face just inches away from his. Out of nowhere, there was a loud bang, as if something massive had hit the side of his car. Chris screamed, and before he could think, the car surged forward. The woman had vanished, but now he found himself surrounded by dark, shifting forms, figures emerging from the woods, their eyes glowing, and their shapes twisting in strange ways. He pressed the gas pedal hard, eager to get away, but no matter how quickly he drove, the shadows kept following him, getting nearer with each moment, their fingers grazing the windows. He took a sharp turn, and the road vanished into a dark abyss. He had lost all sense of where he was. When the sun finally came up, Chris found himself in an unknown area of the forest, with his car crashed against a tree. The shadows had disappeared. Yet, the woman's face remained etched in his memory, and her whispered words, "Now you're one of us," still rang in his ears. The darkness is never vacant. The night holds many things, things that we may not always see, but we can definitely sense. Whether you find yourself lost in a forest, sitting at a lonely train station, or driving along a quiet highway, keep this in mind: when the night feels too quiet and the shadows seem to grow too long, it's not just the night. There's something else, something that's watching.